Good afternoon. We are live in Dante's Den with A Dante Production. And this week we are so excited to have members of the Groove with us. They will be providing the musical entertainment next week at Stonewood Grill, live recording next Saturday for the Flagler County NAACP Freedom Fund Gala 2020, virtual gala. And so we are excited to have with us today Mr. Carlos Peterson. Welcome, Carlos.
How you doing? Glad to
And
be here.
Mr. David Sylvester. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
And we also have our ever-present Mr. Chauncey Dunham, owner of A Dante Production, with us as well. Welcome, Mr. Chauncey.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Well, as we always do, we're going to have our artists. Because Dante's Den is about the artists. We're going to have our artists share a little bit with us. But before we do that, we are going to let Mr. Dunham give us a little bit about A Dante Production and what they do. Go ahead, Mr.
Okay.
C.
Good afternoon. Dante Production was a concert company that just did on-stage concerts. When we got hit with COVID, we had to rewire, and we have not finished, but we had to rewire to a point that we could do everything virtually. It has become not so much a challenge, but it has become interesting. And one of our favorite groups is the Groove. And as far as Flagler County, Florida is concerned, they are at the top of their list. Therefore, I rely on them to do what they normally do, and they do a fantastic job of entertaining the crowd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we are looking forward to the group next week. And so with us is Mr. David Sylvester and Mr. Carlos Peterson. So, Mr. Sylvester, will you tell us a little bit about yourself? And then after Mr. Peterson does, then we'll get right into our questions.
Great. David Sylvester. I'm the saxophonist and vocalist when necessary in the band. And it's been just a great part of my life to be involved with Carlos Peterson, my dear friend, and our guitarist and vocalist as well, Clay Benjamin. I moved to Florida about 2004 from Chicago. So I think a lot of what I do on the sax or singing or just musically in general has kind of a blues tinge on it, no matter what it is. It's got some Chicago blues sprinkled on it. That's just part of my DNA now. And a little gospel too. As a Christian, there's always a little gospel flavor, a little blues flavor, a little jazz, a little funk, a little soul, and just glad to be part of the Chauncey's organization. He has been with us through some thick and thin. He knows what I'm talking about. He's been patient with us and kind and understanding, and always a professional businessman, though, which I really respect and appreciate. And the Groove is happy to be part of the organization. He really is looking out for us to kind of broaden our horizons. And we're looking forward to the 17th to just do what we do, and glad to be part of the organization.
Oh, fantastic. We're glad to have you here. Carlos, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, my name is Carlos Leon Peterson. I'm born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm the keyboardist, and like Dave say, whatever they need me, I'm gonna do a little vocals, you know. But I am glad to be a part of the Groove band with David Sylvester. I remember meeting him, I think 2006, 2008. And it only took like 1 second when he blew that horn. I was like, man, this is it. This is it. But myself, I was raised up in church, love different styles of music. So I love sticking with the smooth sound, smooth jazz. If you hear me, I have basically gospel, smooth jazz. and a little bitty this and there. So, but it is an honor to be a part of the Groove Band. And plus, I met Chauncey and in this organization. And man, I'm looking very forward for this weekend to be a part of something that's it's going to be great. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, we are certainly looking forward to it. Um, I haven't had the pleasure of seeing you live yet, and so I'm very interested in seeing you live and in person. I
Yeah.
happen to love music. I grew up in a very musical family, also in church, and so everything from everything, right? So, now we didn't always listen to everything, after my mom, mistakenly threw out all her Michael Jackson CDs after she came back to the Lord. I said, you know how much those albums would be worth now.
Yes.
She threw out all her albums. There were CDs then. These were albums, like the real vinyls,
Yes.
So, she didn't mistakenly threw them out, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, let me get off of that. I keep telling her, do you know how rich we would be right now? Because she was a Michael Jackson fan.
Wow.
Well, we are truly excited. So, music being that thing, Mr. C, would you like to start with your questions first?
I sure would. This is Groov. What impact has COVID done to you guys? David, you can start.
Okay. It really has made me kind of reflect on why I even play music, why I've spent thousands of hours just playing, the purpose of it, and it also has kind of exposed my shortcomings. By listening to more music during COVID, I can see it's shown me some real weaknesses in my game, and so I'm just trying to now incorporate some things that I think I've learned during COVID, just having more practice time. Since I have more time with the horn, I've just seen all these glaring weaknesses and just exposure of my weaknesses and how I can better myself as a musician, and the purpose of even doing this. So I feel like clarity. That's what I say. I'm talking a lot, but it's giving me some clarity as to purpose. Mm-hmm.
Carlos,
and reason.
What about you?
Oh man, I think Dave took some of my words out my mouth. I remember when I first received a phone call about a lot of the events that we play at a lot of the establishments, how things have changed, and it really, in fact, it put a damper on the things that going out playing, because I did it as full time. But it gave me a chance to reflect and give time to practice and listen to things and sharpen up my skills. I had a chance to really just, especially for like the first 2 months, wasn't doing really no music nowhere. So it gave me a chance to just sharpen up my skills and began to just everything that was kind of like poured into me, just begin to reflect and constantly just practice, man. Practice.
LD, I'm gonna flip the script. What has it done to you?
COVID?
Yeah.
I think I'd have to say in some of the same ways. It has provided an opportunity for clarity. I think a little bit of clarity of purpose. There are some things that have unfolded themselves in things I've had on paper for a long time, have slowly unfolded themselves in the past 6-7 months. And I didn't know how they were going to happen. The very fact that I'm sitting here with you all is very much a surprise to me, because I had no idea that I would be doing this after having had a career as a bit of a traveling consultant and doing what I do now, I had no idea I'd own a publishing company. I had no idea I would be building websites and doing media for companies. No idea. So it's provided, I think for a lot of people, it's provided, as well as me, it's provided a little bit of quiet time so that you can hear yourself think, hear what thoughts actually come to your mind. Because when you're busy doing and producing and being, sometimes you just fail to think like, oh, I really was thinking that. So it really has helped, just quiet time, because there are a lot of things and places you can't go, and in some ways I'm a bit of a homebody, but I'm also a busy person. And so even that, from a work perspective, sort of shifted a little bit, and that has helped. It has brought some clarity to a number of things in my life.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to tell you what it has done to us. When COVID hit and we could no longer do outside stage work, being a retired individual, I was ready to throw in the towel. And I thought about people like Groov as an example, as to some of the musicians that we deal with. They live for their music. And I felt we were an opportunity to keep them living, not let them go by the wayside. Therefore, being a visionary, I came up with some wild ideas, this is one of them. And the one thing that I am very grateful for, and that's LD. The Ladero Design Works is the technical arm of Dante. All these wild ideas I come up with, Ladero makes sure that they are somewhat feasible. Some of them are not feasible, and every now and then I get told that's not feasible. And the den was a combination of LD and myself, because as you notice, I'm sitting in my den. And what we came up with Dante's Den, and when you look on YouTube, not only will you see what we do today, you will hear some of the artists that Dante has. And it gives you an opportunity to see that every shut-eye is not sleep, because I didn't get any last night. And it's just time to move on as an entity. It's just time to make things different and better. And COVID made everybody in the world just stop what they were doing, because the world was running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And it made everybody stop. David, it gave you a chance to back up and appreciate yourself and what you do and find your own flaws. Carlos, it gave you an opportunity to back up and not only find your flaws, just improve what you do. LD, it took you out on a different branch altogether as it relates to what we do. I am grateful, really grateful, to be affiliated with all of you, plus all the musicians and vocalists that work for Dante, because I'm a bit different, and I realize that. And the one thing that David never has to call me to ask me for anything. I always call him and say, David, don't worry, it's coming. And I try to treat everybody the same way. We as a company, we try to make sure that we stand head and shoulders above other companies. The one thing our artists never worry about, and that's, am I going to get paid and when I'm going to get paid? They don't ever have to worry about that. And we just try to take that step forward, and being a visionary, step out there where nobody else has been. And as you step out there where nobody else has been, you run into situations like we ran into yesterday with a system crash. And we had no plan B, because we never expected, and I won't name the company, but when you look at Sprint, AT&T, Spectrum, you look at all those companies, they're big, so you don't expect them to crash. But please believe they do. So, it's for us, it's been particularly LD and myself and James Womack, who's not on. It has been some sleepless nights. And it's been some phone calls the next day that said, okay, we're out on a limb. Let's step a little farther out. And instead of worrying about what's going to happen behind us, let's worry about what's going to happen in front of us. I will give both Carlos and Dave an indication of something. Yesterday, we did a concert at Stonewood. I did not know that the general manager had not asked the vice president's permission to do that. And the vice president heard about it through the grapevine, so he showed up yesterday. And he looked at the general manager and he said, and I was standing there, and he said, nobody asked my permission. And I interjected and said, sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than to ask permission. And just then the band started playing, and the vice president said, oh, I like this. Let's keep it going. So that just shows Dante goes out on a limb sometime, and it gets a little scary. But I try not to let everybody else see how scary it is. And we keep stuff in the closet until we work our way out of it. So that's what it's done to us. LD, your question's next. Go for it.
Well, I like to ask all the artists this question, and it's about the power of music and music's ability to really bypass our minds and get straight to the core of us. We all know that there's a song that takes us back to if you're over the age of 16 and been on a date with anybody, you probably had a little bit of heartbreak somewhere. And so there's that song that takes you back, right? Or that song that something good, when you realize that you love that person, right? And you're like, that's it. It brings back that memory. So when you play, knowing that your audience is experiencing this mental bypass and it goes straight to the core of who they are, how does that affect your ability in what you choose to play individually and as a band? David?
The songs, concerning the songs we pick, we don't have any process or anything scientific. It is, what usually happens is I'll hear Carlos play about 3 chords or 3 notes of a chord, or I hear the guitarist play 3 notes, and it'll trigger a whole song in my head. And then we'll say, okay, let's play Prince. Let's play Miles Davis. Let's play just from those little suggestive notes.
Uh-huh.
And we go from that vantage point of it struck a chord with me. And so I'm gonna be playing from a pure place because it just struck a chord with me, and I'm gonna just lay it out there like that. So that's how it usually starts with us. And that's kind of become our calling card. We just make a little suggestion to each other. How do you feel about Michael Jackson's Never Can Say Goodbye? Ooh, yeah. And then we play it. And it comes out usually 99% of the time, it comes out beautifully, and it touches the people. And that's our goal. We want to touch the people, and sometimes we'll throw in mixed songs up. We're playing one song and we drift off into another song because we made a couple of suggestions with notes to the other band members.
Uh-huh.
So again, it's not scientific. We're not deep. We just love music and love sound, and it works. It works wonderfully 99% of the time.
Sounds good to me. Carlos, how does it, knowing that your audience experiencing this having this musical experience every time you play, what is that do you choose your music differently because you know that there will be having an experience?
Um,
Or how do you choose your music because you know they're having an experience?
yeah, yeah. Well, like Dave said, there's really no way, like, no magic that say, oh, this is it. Say for instance, before we start the show, and the guitar player, myself, we just messed around. Dave messed around, and like he said, a couple of things to strike up. Like, oh, let's do this song. And a lot of times, what we do, we kind of read off the energy of the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
and and that kind of give us the direction, pretty much where to go. And a lot of times, the music that we do, it touches the heart and the soul. First, it touches us, and they can feel that energy, that vibe, especially when we put it out. So, uh, uh, um, it does a lot to see how people react, feet patting, hands clapping. They really take, especially when they up dance, man. Then it just that energy, it
Mm-hmm.
just it overflows. It overflows.
I like it. I like it. I like it. My next question is, when did you realize that you wanted to be a musician? Carlos?
Well, I think I had no other choice. Um, yeah, I'm getting feedback. Can y'all hear me?
Yes. I got a little bit of echo. I'm working on it.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, I was saying that.
What did you say?
I said I had no other choice for being a musician because my mom and dad was pastors, and it was just pretty much like, hey, we need you. First, I started out on drums, and from drums to guitar to the organ. So I really didn't have any choice but to be a musician. Every instrument that my dad pretty much picked up to play, he could never play. God just blessed me with the talent to pick it up and play it. So yeah, I really didn't have no choice to be a musician. It was just something God gave me from birth.
Okay. I like it. David?
Very similar to Carlos's experience. Parents that were they were dictators in a very loving way.
Oh, you know my parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know my parents.
Vividly. But what I vividly remember is begging my mother to buy me this horn. I couldn't play it. I didn't know I couldn't play it, but I begged her for at least a year. And she said, only way I'm buying you this horn, David, is if you play with me. She played the piano. She taught us to play the piano. She said, I'll buy you the horn and you play at church with me on the horn. I said, okay. She bought it. And it just started from there. It really started from there. My appreciation. She had a great ear for music. And she was not afraid of singing loud, playing some things wrong, but she still played it anyway. And so I learned so much from her heart. And so that's how I started.
All right. We're going to take a little pause. I'd like to ask each of you, we're hearing some echo. If you have any other applications open on your desktop, if you would close those out, save for your StreamYard browser tab. And if you have earbuds, would you put your earbuds in? And I think that'll help us out as well.
Yeah, let me see.
Okay.
I'm not using buds. Should I? Do I need to?
If you have them, that will help. If not, don't worry about it. I'm just trying to clear up a little bit of the echo we got going on. But if you have any other applications open on your desk, close those for me. We were doing fine there, and then a little bit.
Yeah. My bud's not. It's not picking up.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
All right, let's carry on. All right. So, unlike either of you, only thing I've ever played, as I told, I believe, Sherry and Chris Clark, is the recorder that I got in elementary school. I beat a mean tambourine though. I really do.
Amen.
I can beat a tambourine. So you all play jazz, and jazz happens to be one. You play other things, but jazz happens to be one of my favorite musical genres, and I think it's because jazz covers so much, right? And there is an emotion with jazz, and out of all the concerts that I've been to, I sort of vividly remember the jazz concerts I've been to. I remember going to, what is it? I went with a girlfriend. I was working in Virginia, and we went to Wolf something Park in, I think, Maryland or something. Yes, Wolf Trap. Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in those green seats, and we just had ourselves a ball. That's my good friend Yvonne. And what is it about jazz that attracts you as musicians?
Well, as for me, I know listen, I coming from a gospel background, I began to I think I was, because I played pretty much by ear, so I was able to appreciate gospel. But when I started branching off to jazz and all the different other type of genre of music, it took me to another level, and it enhanced my ear, it enhanced my playing to where I'm just like. And another thing too, reason why I listened to one of my favorite musicians, and he said sometimes you can hit an accidental note and still make it work. So my coming up, I was hitting a lot of accidental notes. I was like, but now I know how to make that thing work, So that's what it did to my ear. My ear's so sharp to when I hear something, it's like, oh, and that was the niche that I needed, and that's what it did for me.
David,
what kind of turned me on to jazz was just the endless creativity and the possibilities that are built into jazz, the improvisation, the openness of the harmonies. Other styles of music seem to have some accepted limitations. They have rules, very hard rules. Classical music, kind of hard rules. You sing it the way Mozart wrote it and leave it alone. But some of the things I hear John Coltrane, Herbie Hancock, Miles Davis, Cannonball Adderley, they are stretching. They stretch so far that you can really be who you are. Cannonball Adderley was very kind of a country kind of a guy, so he brought a lot of his bluesy countryness to the music. John Coltrane was a preacher, but sometimes like he's actually preaching through his improvisation. So creativity is what draws me. Just, you can be yourself, but then you can be a whole lot more and grow. So I like that the lid is off on jazz, and other music seems to have that lid tightly on.
Yes,
I like the lid myself. Yeah. I don't like. And so
that sounds like the name of a good book. The lid is off.
Gospel music.
We play outside the box. Play outside the box.
I love it.
So gospel and jazz kind of kind of cousins to me in my mind.
Yeah.
I think very much so. When we see the improvisation that we see in gospel, it is very much a sister to jazz. The ability to go off in a direction and come back. And you know, you can mix a modern, so you can start out with a modern song and throw in a hymn, and you know, somebody throwing something else, and then you all end up in the same place. You're like, yeah, we intended to go right there.
Yes, ma'am.
I heard that today. And they did it beautifully. Like, yeah, that was right where we ended up. We intended to be right there.
In those genres, it's almost expected that you go to those places.
Yes.
It's almost expected. Don't be too tame or be too reserved.
Yeah.
Else you're not serving the music.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I when I realized that there were so many different genres to jazz, subgenres, I was really just surprised. You know, you got classic, classical jazz, you've got acid jazz, you've got smooth jazz, I mean, you've got all these things. And I remember so distinctly talking with one of my friends, because we had been brought up in similar ways. Well, not really. She sort of came along a little later than I did, but in the sense of music and the structure church-wise. And I remember we were talking and we were like, you know what? I just love music.
Yes.
And I have embraced that love of music. It come from a musical family. I told them last week, it is nothing for someone to break out in song when they want to tell you something, particularly my mom's side, of my mom and a few of her. But in my immediate family, with my siblings, you know, we'll sing a song to you about something we want to tell you about. And so that love, that broadness in jazz.
Yes.
And I wish I were like you guys. I wish I could play something, right? I'm in the studio today. My internet crashed. And so there was one issue we were getting ready to take care of. And so I called the audio engineer here, Leroy McClendon. And so I'm in his studio, and every time I'm in his studio, he has his saxophones in the corner. And I was like, man, I wish I knew how to play those. And he has his keyboard on his, and I think, man, I wish I knew how to play that. Somebody is going to teach me how to play. It might be one of you. I'm going to, actually, I started this online class series that they have learning music and how to play. I was like, this was meant to be. It is a marriage made with Shaw. It is meant to be, because I am going to learn how to play an instrument.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I do like to ask this question as well, and that is, if you had the opportunity to sit down and chat with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be? Carlos?
George Duke. George Duke. Oh my God. Yeah. I had a chance to a couple of chances to play for some piano idols of mine, Brian Culbertson, a couple of other guys. But it's something about George Duke. He just, his I don't even know the correct way to put it. Just the way he expresses himself in the keyboard and recording and singing, and it just, he'd be in the background playing something next to me, something just catch you. You'd be like, oh, yeah, just like, that's George Duke. That's my man. That's my man.
Fantastic. David?
John Coltrane. John Coltrane. Just so technically he was was at another level.
Yes.
He died in 1967, and people are still, even more so, studying him, studying how he played what he played. I mean, somebody that invents their own chord progressions, and he could play a ballad so sweet, then he can, the next song, play it so fast and perfectly, you can't even believe it's the same brain. So soulful, so bluesy. He was just complete. And so John Coltrane.
John Coltrane and George Duke. I
Yeah.
tell you,
Yeah.
I am duly impressed. And I am looking forward to next week. Mr. C, do you have anything else?
No, I am looking forward to next week as well. And the amount of good news I have for next week is we were running a tight schedule to get started next week, but the event that was going to occur before us has now canceled. So that gives us the opportunity to get in early, set up early, and get everything done that we need to get done.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Okay.
Well, we want to remind everybody that next week you can hear the Groove Band at Stonewood Grill. I'm sorry there. I forgot about it. I'm reading it, but at Stonewood Grill in Daytona Beach on LPGA Boulevard. They will be there at 6:00 p.m. for the Flagler County NAACP Freedom Fund Virtual Gala 2020. We want to invite you to come out, have some good dinner, have some good music, hear from the Groove Band. And after today, I will certainly do even more personal marketing. I'm like, look, you need to take your wife on a date next week.
Yes.
And go to Daytona to Stonewood Grill. Take your husband on a date, take your significant other on a date, take your children. But be at Stonewood Grill next week with your mask on for the Groove Band and the Flagler County branch of the NAACP. Their Freedom Fund Virtual Gala. It is titled Get Out the Vote. So voting is November the 3rd. We want to remind everybody, voting is a privilege, and the Groove Band is going to help get us in the mood to go to the polls. Yeah. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. It has been a pleasure. And we want to invite everybody to stay tuned to Dante's Den. We are interviewing our artists over the next several weeks. We have a whole fall line of concerts to come your way, and it is it's going to be a Central Florida takeover. How about that?
I like that.
We're excited about this fall and this winter's online concert entertainment, and even a few things in person. There's some little secrets coming out. So, you know what? We're excited. So, thank you, gentlemen, again, Mr. Peterson, Mr. Sylvester, and Mr. C. We thank you for joining us in Dante's Den today. Have a great afternoon.
All right,
thank you.
Bye-bye. You're welcome.
Pleasure.